This is Thomas from Train Fully. In the previous video, we did a quick little assessment called the Apley Scratch Test to see if you actually have all of the mobility in your shoulders that you should have. So if you haven't seen that video yet, go back and watch it now, because if you have decreased shoulder mobility, that means you're compensating when you swing a golf club. And compensating leads to a loss of distance, it leads to inconsistent ball striking, as well as an increased risk for injury. Now, most people find the Apley Scratch Test quite challenging. So in this video, we're going to do a follow-up assessment to gain more insight into your shoulder range of motion. And after that assessment, I'm going to provide you with a new technique that you can add to your repertoire to enhance your shoulder range of motion and help you upgrade your swing. Okay, so this is to assess shoulder external rotation. We're going to get you up against the wall. We can have your feet out a couple inches, but I want your head against the wall and I want your spine in neutral alignment. From here, we're going to bring your elbows up to shoulder level. Now, without letting your low back arch or your shoulders raise up towards your ears, I want you to try to touch the back of your hands to the wall. This should be considered normal range of motion. We want between 90 and 95 degrees of shoulder external rotation. Okay, so this is to assess your shoulder internal rotation. We're going to get you up against the wall. We can have your feet out a couple inches, but I want your head against the wall and your spine in neutral alignment. We're going to bring your elbows up to shoulder level. Now, without letting your low back arch or your shoulders popping off the wall, I want you to try to bring the palms of your hands towards the wall. Now, we want between 60 and 70 degrees of shoulder internal rotation. All right. Now, despite the fact that shoulder external rotation and internal rotation are opposite joint actions, one dysfunction causes a decrease in both, and it has to do with our normal daily activities. The vast majority of us spend a great deal of our day sitting, working in front of a computer, and because we're in that sustained posture for so long, the muscles that cross in front of our shoulder joint become adaptively shortened. And when muscles become adaptively shortened, they generally become overactive. And we can think of these short and overactive muscles as being tight. Now, if the muscles that cross in front of our shoulder are short, then the muscles that cross behind our shoulder have to be long. And when muscles become adaptively lengthened, they become inhibited or underactive. And we can think of these long and underactive muscles as being weak. Now, these tight muscles here, they internally rotate our shoulder, whereas these weak muscles back here externally rotate our shoulder. Now, if the internal rotators are tight and the external rotators are weak, that will obviously decrease our ability to externally rotate our shoulder. But how does it explain a decrease in shoulder internal rotation? The shoulder is a ball and socket joint. When these muscles become tight and these muscles become weak, the humeral head or the ball gets pulled forward and up in the socket. This displaces the shoulder joint. It changes the way the surfaces of the ball and socket line up. This is called arthrokinematic dyskinesis. It increases wear and tear on the joint and dramatically reduces range of motion in every direction, including internal rotation. But our problems don't stop there. Because the shoulder has been displaced forward and up, the capsule, the shoulder capsule, tightens up behind and below. So the inferior and posterior shoulder capsule become tight. So if we add it all up, we have muscle imbalances, we have anterior and superior migration of the humeral head, and we have tightening of the inferior and posterior shoulder capsule, all combining to dramatically reduce our shoulder range of motion. This is going to force us to compensate when we swing a golf club, which again is going to reduce our performance and increase our risk for injury. But if we had a way to stretch out the posterior and inferior fibers of the shoulder capsule, that would help realign the joint, which would enhance our range of motion and really improve the efficiency and consistency of our swing. All right, so we're going to be using a 41-inch long green monster band to mobilize our shoulder joint. If you don't have one of these bands, I strongly encourage you to get one. We're going to be using it not only to mobilize our shoulder, but in future videos, I'm going to show you techniques to improve the range of motion of your hip, knee, and ankle as well. You can get these from Amazon or directly from SiriusSteel.com. Now, I'm going to anchor this around this pole here. And we want the anchor point or the height of the band to be slightly higher than your shoulder joint when you're on your forearms. So we're not up on our hands, we're down on our forearms. Now the band here is providing a lateral distraction. It's pulling the humeral head or the ball away from the socket, helping us stretch those tight inferior and posterior fibers of the shoulder capsule. Now, once I'm in this position here, I'm simply going to oscillate back and forth at 1 to 2 oscillations per second for 30 seconds. So just in this manner here. Again, this is a great way to stretch out those tight fibers of the inferior and posterior shoulder capsule and help us improve our arthrokinematics and shoulder range of motion. Now, once the 30 seconds is up, what I'm going to do is drop my hips back and pull my shoulder into flexion. And I'm going to do 10 to 15 flexion extension cycles, which is going to improve the mobility of that shoulder joint even more. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, you don't feel a whole lot when you do that, but trust me, it is extremely effective at improving your shoulder range of motion. All right, there you have it. Two of my very favorite techniques for improving shoulder range of motion. We start with a lateral distraction with 1 to 2 oscillations per second for 30 seconds. Then we maintain that lateral distraction and perform 10 to 15 flexion extension cycles. Now, for best results, perform these mobilization techniques after doing the release techniques from the previous video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.